Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be talking about the new Switch OLED model. I've had about a week or so to kind of play around with it. So we're going to talk about some of the things I like, some of the things I dislike. So if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. One week we tend to do a review for any kind of game on the Nintendo Switch, and then the second week we'll talk anything gaming related, retro gaming, maybe something from my collection, absolutely anything. So don't forget to like this video as well. Leave a comment below. Have you got the new OLED model? What do you think about it? But without further ado, let's take a start and have a look at this new model. Okay, so let's have a talk about some of the pros. Obviously, number one has got to be that screen. It's only like a tiny little bit bigger, but it's so much brighter. It looks amazing. There's a couple of games. Dragon's Dogma was one. There was a second one that is completely forgotten. Skyrim was another one. But games basically where the screen and everything in the game was really dark. The Metro series, that's the other one I was thinking of. Where the games were just really dark. It was hard to actually kind of enjoy them when you're playing in handheld mode because you couldn't really see anything around you. This has completely changed that. So the issues I kind of had with Dragon's Dogma, that I had with the Metro series, where going into environments where it's completely pitch black, completely changed it. So the screen is obviously the biggest improvement, but how much it changes the games as well. Games that you maybe had a little issue with, like I've said, are now really, really great to play on here. So I don't know if you can kind of see on there. Can you see the new air vent, or that little vent? So they've changed it now to, they're much better than before. Before, I didn't have a problem, but I know quite a few people had, where they were actually snapping the little vents there. So that's a big improvement. And actually just to hold it, the feel, it is much nicer to actually hold. Slightly heavier. I've not really had an issue with that. Nick has had a bit of an issue with that. She said it's a little bit more uncomfortable, but I've not. But yeah, those vents do make a huge difference on here, because I don't think they'll break like people did have the issues with them on the original Switch. So that's kind of pro number two. So it's not necessarily a pro for everyone. I've had the V1 Switch since release. What was it, March 2017? I got maybe 2 hours battery when I was playing online, maybe 3 hours if I was lucky. On here, huge difference. Obviously, if you were later on in the life cycle of the Switch and you've got a V2 Switch, there's not going to be much difference. If you've got that V1 Switch, I would definitely recommend upgrading, because it's just a better console anyway, but that battery is so much better now. I mean, at a minimum, I'm getting 5.5 hours out of games now compared to the maximum of 2.5, 3 hours before. So that's a massive difference. So a huge bonus for me, obviously, coming from a V1 to the OLED. If you're going V2, that's obviously not going to be much difference for you guys. If you're going from that to newer model into this one, you won't get the benefit of that. Finally is this, the kickstand. I mean, it opens really nicely, kind of clicks back in place. I don't have to worry about it snapping. It feels like it's going to hold the console. You can set it up at any angle. I mean, I don't know how they got away with bringing out the original kickstand. I mean, that is just such a huge improvement. The old kickstand, you'd have to like dig your finger in there and try and pull it out. It always felt like it was going to snap, but it just comes out. Look at that, just the edge of my thumb, and it comes out. You can take it as low as you want to. So again, even for handheld mode, or if you're playing with a controller in handheld mode, so good. Like I say, how did they get away with bringing out the original kickstand for this one? So that's all my pros. So we're going to have a little look at a few of the cons now. There's not many, there's actually just one con. So let's have a little talk about what that is. Okay, there's two cons. One isn't necessarily that bad for me, so I'll start with that. That's the price point. So obviously, because of that big price drop, the original Switch was $379. That's gone down to $359. and this comes in at £309. So there's a £50 difference. Obviously, I was getting a lot more benefit of upgrading. I think if you're not a Switch owner, or if you're a V1 Switch owner, go for the OLED model, because that price difference, it's well worth paying. If you've got a V2, I don't know, it's hard to say because the screen itself, it's so worth having, but then you're not getting the battery and things like that. But if you're predominantly a handheld gamer on this, I would definitely upgrade, but definitely tell your friends, tell your family, if they're gonna buy a new Switch, get that OLED model. And then we've got one more, which is my main con coming up. Okay, here it is. So do you remember the old kickstand where, I don't know if that's going to come in very well, try and put it about there. If you remember the old kickstand and it was just really difficult to actually get the kickstand to come out, I don't know why they've done this. I'm going to try and just show you on the screen. I've got no nails, you can see I've got no nails. Trying to actually get that out, unbelievably hard to do. There you go. You can already see I've scratched it a little bit because trying to actually get that out, and I think there are some people that's going to break that. They've literally made everything better. You can see all the volume controls, everything's just that little bit nicer. And then they've done that where you can't actually take it out. Clicks back in place. I really don't see the need for that. We had a little ridge on the older models. Literally finger went in, came out really easy. On there, I can see a lot of them breaking. So that for me is a huge con because there was no reason to change it. It's the same cartridge size. All they had to do is keep that little ridge there to be able to take it in and out, and they've got rid of it. That might sound a little bit stupid, but I wouldn't be surprised, in maybe 6 to 8 weeks time if we're getting a lot of complaints where they're snapping or people are having to send them off to Nintendo to be repaired, because I can see that happening a lot. So I don't know, I wouldn't use anything to try and pull it out because I think that's going to make it worse. Just obviously grow your nails if you can, but obviously anyone who bites their nails, it's easier said than done. You can see there, it does take a few tries, and I'm predominantly a physical collector, so most of my games are physical, so I do tend to take that in and out quite a lot. So that's my main con, which for everything else they've absolutely perfected it, but I'm not sure why they kind of felt the need to change that. Probably arguably the one thing that didn't need changing and they decided to change it. So that's my kind of pros and cons. I'm just going to talk about a couple of other things that I think may be happening with the future. We'll have to wait and see. So let's have a little chat about what I think is going to happen with the new Switch model. Okay, so if we can see there, is it going to show us? I don't know if you can see that, but obviously the new Switch model has the LAN port, the dock has that LAN port. So that kind of worries me a little bit, because I just wonder whether we're getting a lot of cloud games now. The Kingdom Hearts games have just been announced. We've had a few cloud games coming over to the Switch. Is that done that way so that we can have more cloud games potentially? Is there going to be a new model come out, say in a year's time, that plays upgraded Switch games, but potentially you can still buy them as a cloud version for the old Switch models? Because obviously that LAN port is going to give you a little bit more stable internet connection. So that was kind of my opinion on that. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I just, as a physical collector, I would prefer to have copies of the game, knowing that they can kind of never be taken away. So there's kind of pros and cons. Whether that ever happens, whether it's just because people are playing online more and people want a more, I don't know, better internet connection, having that LAN port, I don't know. That's kind of my opinion, that I think we're going to see a lot more cloud gaming in the future on the Switch models. I think it's going to get harder to bring games over to the Switch, and whether companies want to do that or not, so they can just stick it as a cloud version, bring it over that way. I really hope it doesn't, but yeah, with that new LAN port on the dock, that's kind of what I think will happen later on down the line. I wouldn't be surprised to see more and more at E3 next year, or more announcements next year of cloud versions coming over to the Switch, which I really hope doesn't happen. So that's all my opinions on the Switch OLED model. I hope you enjoyed them. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you like about it? What are you not liking about it? Have you had that issue with the little game card slot like a lot of people I know are having? But don't forget, if you're new, hit that subscribe button, leave a like for the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care, guys.